the problem that is obvious to you may not necessarily be the solution that exists in that problem. When you come up with a goal that this is what you set out to do, it's amazing to see the world's best resources are attracted by the same purpose. There is not a problem in the world that innovation and entrepreneurship can't solve.
Want to be happy? Build a life, not just a business. Hey, it's Evan Carmichael, and this channel was created to help you overcome the #1 challenge that is holding you back, a lack of belief in yourself. You watch these videos because you know there's something more inside you too. You've got Michael Jordan level genius at something. So today, let's live your best believe life and get the billionaire mindset from Naveen Jain that can make you rich. Enjoy. Okay, let's kick it off with rule #1. Have an abundance mindset.
What is a mindset of abundance?
So mindset of abundance is really clear. You do not think that anything is not possible or anything is scarce. The reason we find things scarce is because we think that what is being done is the only way of doing things, right? So for example, 50 years ago, one of the rarest thing was something called aluminum. It is plentiful, abundance on earth, but it's never in a pure form. It comes in the form of bauxite. It was extremely rare. Nobody could purify it until the technology came along called electrolysis. And then aluminum became abundant. We have the Coke cans we throw away. We use them for everything. It was simply people found them to be rare because they thought in a certain way. So when you start to think that everything that we value on earth, earth is nothing but a tiny dot in the galaxy. There's nothing that we fight over that we can't have abundance of, whether it is the land, whether it is water, anything that you think, whether it's called rare earth elements, they are called rare earth elements. They are not called rare moon elements. They're not called rare Mars elements, right? Anything that you find valuable, scarce, can be had in plentiful. And you talk about education, you talk about healthcare. The reason they are scarce is because we continue to do the same things in the same way that has not changed and disrupted in the last 50 or 100 years.
Rule #2, make a commitment.
I went on a national TV and I said, I am going to start a company whose sole purpose is going to be to make illness optional. And once you make a public commitment, amazing things happen. That becomes you, and you're not going to go back because you just told the world what you're going to do. And when you have that audacious moonshot, the universe comes together. The people around the world will come together to help you because that's a cause worth solving. That is the problem worth solving. And a lot of successful people want to do something for their legacy. They are successful, they want to be significant. And here is amazing thing happen. When I said that, I got a call from the head of the IBM Watson research. He said, I have been working on the artificial intelligence for 25 years. If you can tell me what's happening inside the human body, I can analyze it and give you everything that people need to do not to be sick. The second call I got was a woman named Dr. Helen Messier. She said, I'm a PhD in microbiology and MD, I'm functional medicine. I'm working for the Craig Venter on human longevity to increase the life of people. And she said, what's the point living longer if people are going to be sick anyway? I'm going to quit my job and I'm going to come and help you make illness optional. Now, I still don't know what to do because I still don't understand any of this stuff. An amazing thing is going on now. Now, I'm going to Los Alamos National Lab. And many of you know at Los Alamos, you know what is famous for Los Alamos National Lab is? Atomic bomb. It's called Manhattan Project. It wasn't done in Manhattan. It was done at Los Alamos. These people know a thing or two about national security. I was there talking about completely different thing, and one guy walked up to me and said, I heard you on TV. You want to make illness optional. And I said, yes. He said, you know, we are working on a biodefense technology that because we developed it for a simple reason, we were worried some bad actor were going to get hold of something biological. how would we know what is making people sick? So we developed the technology that can look deep inside your body, every single organism, what it is, how active it is, and what it's doing. And we can tell you exactly what is going on inside the human body. That was the missing piece. And he said, I'm going to quit my job and you can license this technology and you can go build that. Guess what happened? We got the exclusive license to this technology worldwide. And I'm going to tell you a story about how that happened. And because they spent billions of dollars developing this, and they gave me the exclusive license. Because, so I went there and I talked to the tech transfer office, and I said, I really like this technology. And the guy at that point would say that, look, we are not here to make money. Even if you're wildly successful, my salary is going to be exactly the same. It makes no difference to us whether you're successful or you fail. But if you fail and our name goes with that, I will lose my job. So I have all the incentive in the world to tell you no, and there's not one thing that can make me say yes. Right? Got back to exactly the same thing with the Moon Express, right? This time I started a different approach. I went and I talked to all the scientists. At the evening, I told them that you guys have all been so kind to me about explaining what you do here. I'm going to give you a word of advice. And he said, what's that? So I'm now sitting here. I said, believe it or not, one day you're all going to get old. And you're all going to someday, if you're lucky, going to have grandkids. And your grandkids are going to ask you, Grandpa, you were working at this lab. What were you doing? And wasn't there a time you could have done something that could have changed the way people live their lives? And if you're honest with yourself, you have to say, there was a brown guy who came here and he said he could change the way people are going to live their lives. He wanted to make illness optional, but I was so afraid of losing my job, I told him no. I said, that's the guilt you have to live the rest of your life. Every day when you're looking in the mirror, you have to always answer to yourself, when I said no, their problem could have been solved because someone was dedicating their life to solving that problem. And now you have to think back and saying, do you still want to say no, or could the answer be yes? Guess what happened? The answer was yes. He said, if you are willing to dedicate your life, right? So what I'm here to tell you is that I took this moonshot, and this is my 7th company. And as you know, any measure of success you can look at, I have been wildly successful. Why at my age I would decide that I'm going to work 18 hours a day, 7 days a week? I could be sitting on any island and enjoying my life. I do this because I still have the debt of the society on my head. And before I die, I'm going to pay that debt back. And I'm going to solve this problem.
Rule number 3, trust your gut.
As a young entrepreneur, I learned several valuable lessons. But I think the most valuable lesson I learned was trusting your own gut instinct. It's not about the spreadsheets. It's not about the numbers. It is about what you feel in your heart. Just remember, there are so many variables in the real life. Spreadsheets can never capture them. The brain only works on the logic of zeros and one, and it doesn't know how to deal with a lot of the gray areas. Your gut, your heart, is a chemical computer. It computes things on a fuzzy magic, fuzzy logic. That means a lot of the times you will start to feel that something doesn't feel right, even though the numbers do add up.
Rule number 4, think like an entrepreneur.
In today's world, the philanthropy is considered where you give the money to someone, and if you don't give the money, you are a bad person. Somehow you don't care enough. And to me, philanthropy should never be about giving money. Philanthropy should be about solving a problem. So this lady came to me saying, we have done such a good job in our current homeless shelter. We really outgrown it, and now we need to expand it, and we have this capital need, and we want you to donate to it. And I said, instead of asking for a donation, why don't you start to think about like a business? And I am a venture capitalist. And if you came to me saying that give me this money that is going to go out and do something with it, there are only 2 choices you're giving me. Either you're going to fail in doing what you're doing. In that case, the money is wasted. And if you do succeed, you're going to come back and ask me for more money. So how is that going to be a sustainable business model? And she said, what do you really mean? I said, ask yourself a question just like any other business. What is your product and who is your customer? She looked at me, all she wanted me to do is write a check and not be interviewed. And she said, it's really simple. All I'm selling is the homeless shelter, the place in the homeless shelter, and my customers are my women who come there. And I say, young lady, you have a broken business model. And she said, why? I say, your customers don't pay you. Right. I said, they're not your customer, they are your users. And she said, how else would you think about it? And I said, what if, just like a Facebook, the social networking is not their product. The people who use social networking is the product. You and I are the product, and their customer is the advertisers. In the same way, in a women's shelter, the women are the product, and local businesses are your customers. And the more products you have, the more you can cater to the local businesses. So why don't you go to local businesses and say, I have this amazing product. The women who are so driven that they would go out and do the things you want them to do. You will have a loyal employee, you will teach them the skills, and you will have these people working, and you'll be doing good for the society, and you'll have a loyal employee. And if you do that, the more people you have in your shelter, the higher the revenue you're going to have, and you'll be continuing to expand that. And just that thought process, she implemented, and suddenly now they're growing everywhere. Right?
She actually did it?
She actually did it.
Whoa,
Yeah.
I did not think
Yeah,
that
she
was
did
going to be the punchline.
Yeah. So my point is, this is how entrepreneurs really need to be thinking about, and I can give you several examples of that. The problem that is obvious to you may not necessarily be the solution that exists in that problem. For example, everybody knows the lack of fresh water is a problem. A lot of people go out and try to clean the water because thinking the fresh water is really the scarce resources. Until you start to dig into it, where is the fresh water being used? And suddenly you realize the majority of the fresh water is used in the agriculture. All you have to do is solve the agriculture problem, and whether you use the aeroponic or aquaponic or other mechanism, or even lightly salted water that could solve the agriculture problem, suddenly you have abundance of fresh water. And then you feel really good about yourself.
Also, if you want to have more self-confidence and self-belief, the science says it can take up to 254 days of consecutive action for the habit to stick. That's what I want for you. So I've designed a custom, free program where I'm going to send you an unlisted video for the next 254 days to shift your confidence and belief forward. The link to join is in the description below.
We have a lot of heroes, but China movies, heroes always dead. The American movie hero never die. If all the heroes die, who want to be the hero?
If you have a great product, lots of people will buy it. And then the company will be successful.
Most of the best entrepreneurial ideas come out of frustration.
Rule number 5, be persistent but flexible.
Another valuable lesson I learned was being persistent while being flexible. A lot of entrepreneurs spend way too much time writing a business plan rather than really doing things. As you are continuing to execute, you will find new things. You will learn new variables. The trick is to have your business plan which only provides you the guidelines but not the roadmap. Because as you are going out and doing things in real world, you will find things will never ever turn out to be the way you expected them when you started a business. So don't try to stick to your business plan or spend too much time writing a business plan, but learn as you are executing on a business plan, and you will find yourself to be successful.
Rule number 6, pursue crazy ideas.
7 years ago, when I started saying, we are going to go to the moon and we're going to mine for the resources, and people say, that's a freaking crazy idea. And when someone tells you it's a crazy idea, that means you're on the right path. Because dream so big that people think you're absolutely crazy. And when you tell them what you're going to do, and if they don't think it's a crazy idea, you're not thinking big enough. So think big. And the reason is, when someone tells you it is impossible, it becomes impossible for them, not for you. And the more people who tell you it's impossible, that means more people have taken themselves out of the solution. And now the field is yours on yours only, right? And that's just a different way of looking at it. So when I look at as an entrepreneur, I don't focus on what the world is. I focus on what the world can be. So don't look at the glass being half empty or half full. You focus on saying, is this glass worth filling? Do I want to fill this glass or not? Because if I do, does it really matter is half empty or half full? And if I don't, do I really care is half empty or half full, right? And that to me is really starting to think about every time you see something and you say, what is possible? What if? And imagine are the two amazing words in the English dictionary. So when I say, Louis, imagine, what happens is all your preconceptions go away and you're willing to open to anything that I'm willing to say for at least the next 30 seconds of imagining. And then you may come back and say, oh, that will never work. But at least you're open for that time.
Rule number 7, have a big goal.
The only reason we don't do something, the resistance that Warren talks about, is because we don't have a purpose in life. Our purpose is too small. When you come up with a big purpose, all your resistance goes away because it's not about you anymore. It's about that big goal you have. And once you set your eyes on that big goal, then every single hurdle in your way, it starts to look like a tiny speed bump. And here's the best part. The people around you in the world will come together to make your dream come true. And that is what I found. When you come up with a goal that this is what you set out to do, it's amazing to see the world's best resources are attracted by the same purpose. And they will quit what they are doing to come join you in making that happen. The resources, the money from around the world will come to you to make that dream happen. Because if it's your dream that can help 1 billion people, there are at least enough people out there who want to help those 1 billion people. And that's how you change the world.
Rule number 8, solve big problems.
There is not a problem in the world that innovation and entrepreneurship can't solve. So you look at me and saying, what do you know about entrepreneurship? What is an entrepreneur? Who is an entrepreneur? So I say there are 3 types of people in the world. People who actually can see the problem, and let's call them human beings, right? And there's some of us who can even find a solution to that problem, and we're going to call them visionaries or even coach or even consultants. And there are few people in this room who can actually go out and do something about it, and we're going to call them entrepreneurs. Entrepreneurs are the ones who are the problem solvers, who just don't see the problem, who just don't come up with a solution, who go out and do something about it. And those are the entrepreneurs we celebrate. So you look back and saying, if innovation and entrepreneurship can solve all the problem, why every time we walk, we see a problem and we ask the same question? Why is it someone do something about it? Why can't someone do something about this? Here is a big problem. Why can't someone do something about it? The question you should be asking is, what is it that I can do about it? What can I do about it to solve this problem? That's an entrepreneurial mindset. And that's how you solve a problem. There's not a problem how big a problem it is. I will tell you, it's no easier to build $100 million company to then build $1 billion company. In fact, I'll argue it's so much easier to build $1 billion company than to build $100 million company. You have to think so small. You can't think big when you're trying to build $100 million company. You got to be saying, why can't we go to the moon? What stops us from going to the moon? What stops us from solving big problems? And never be afraid to say, and my company is profitable and I make money. If you want to make $1 billion, how do you make $1 billion? You go out and solve a $10 billion problem. And it so happens that those $10 billion problems happen to be large social problems. Education, healthcare, clean water, energy. And imagine that if one of you out there solves a clean water problem for around the world for billions of people, and if you happen to make $1 billion, somebody's going to say, look at that greedy entrepreneur. My hat's off to you. Right. So my purpose in life is to really simple. Go out and think about the large problems and see how innovation can solve it.
Rule number 9, focus on the future of technology.
How much did it cost for us to go to the moon before?
So the cost in 1960 was $25 billion.
Oh my gosh.
And in today's dollars, that would be $100 billion, right? And so that would have been price prohibitive, and from a business perspective would not have made sense, right? Right. But now it cost the $10 billion, it starts to make sense, right? So bringing this stuff back, and obviously, there is platinum grade material. There is helium-3. Helium-3 is an amazingly clean energy fuel resource. That means you can use a small quantity of helium-3 in a fusion reactor, and you can power this planet for generations.
No way.
Yeah. And here's the thing. People say, fusion reactor. Did you say fusion? Don't you know that we don't have a fusion reactor right now? And I say, I do. But I don't have helium-3 either, right?
Right.
But the point is, in the next 10 years, when we are able to scale and start to bring helium-3, the technology will be there for fusion. And when these guys have a fusion reactor, they're going to be looking around and say, does anybody have helium-3? And that's when you say, yep, got some. Right? So my point is, as an entrepreneur, your job is not to be where the puck is. You focus on where the puck is going to be.
Of course.
Right?
Yeah, of
and so you
course.
start to look at where the technology is headed, and you start to plan for that.
And rule number 10, the last one before some very special bonus clips, is give 100%.
Business is like a war. You have to be completely prepared. And unless you have mind, body, and soul really all ready for it, you just can't fight that battle. I do work very, very long hours, and I realize there is really no substitute. I mean, it doesn't matter how smart you are, there is just no substitute for hard work. If you want to succeed in life, you have to be absolutely at your best. And the only way to be absolutely at the best is to give it 100% of yourself. This is my commuter car, so I drive it every day to work. Most people buy a car and keep it in the garage. I drive them every day.
A lot of people assume that entrepreneurs take chances. Is that true?
Not true at all. In fact, entrepreneurs actually hate risk. Only play the game that you can win. Making money is a byproduct of doing things that you really enjoy doing. It is never a goal in itself. And it's like having sex and orgasm. You have to enjoy the process and not focus on the end goal. People actually who focus on end goal, like getting an orgasm, never get one.
Now I've got a really special bonus clip that I think you're going to enjoy. But before that, it's time for the question of the day. I want to know, what was your single biggest takeaway from this video and your plan of action for the next week? The science says that when you just watch a video, you get motivated, you get inspired, you have a 35% chance of following through on your goals. 35%! That's not enough. That's not enough just to get motivated. Believe Nation, we're here, you're here. Today matters. You're an action taker. When you commit to a plan of action of when and how you're going to follow through, when you write it down, you have a 91% chance of following through. And when you commit publicly to somebody else, it jumps to 95% chance. From 30-something% to 95% chance of you following through. Believe Nation, we need to make this happen. So question of the day, your single biggest takeaway from this video and your plan of action specific for the next week. Put it down in the comments below, and I'm going to show on screen sometime next week to celebrate you.
Think differently. It's not about thinking outside the box. It's about thinking in a different box. If you become an expert in your field, you become absolutely useless in your field, because the day you become an expert, you become incrementalist. You think about incremental evolution. So if you want to disrupt something, go out in a completely different industry that you know nothing about, because then you're thinking in abstract. So never be afraid to talk about your problem to someone who knows nothing about your industry, because they will come up with the ways that you have never thought before.
If you want another amazing video highlighting excellence in the Indian community, check it out right there next to me. I think you'll enjoy it. Continue to believe, and I'll see you there.